Hello. Let's see here. Hello. This is my first time going live, just trying something new out. Hi, Taylor. I see you. Hi, Backyard Garage. Hi, guys. This is my first time going live, so I just thought I'd give this a whirl and say hello to everybody. How is everybody tonight? Wow. Historic Ocean Liners. Hi. Hamish, hello. Britt, hello. Maris, hello. I see you all. What's the plan, Stan? There is no real plan tonight. This is just me doing a test run to see how this live stream goes. I'm not going to be online for very long, probably 10, 15 minutes just to give this a try. And just to say hello to everybody. And if anybody had any questions that they want to ask me, I'm here. Oh, thank you, Himes? I don't know how to say your name. Thanks for the videos. Thank you. I'm glad you all like them. So yeah, anything y'all want to ask me or anything, it's good to go. This, as I said, this is just a test run. How is everybody tonight? Oh, are you? A cardboard version of Titanic? When I was a kid and I didn't have any money, I was like 10, I would build these, I would take tape and build these really elaborate Titanic models just out of paper. I would roll the paper up into little strips, and it drove my dad crazy because I would use up all of his tape. But I was a little kid and didn't have any money, so I did what I had to do. Well, go get yourself a mocha. Have you ever heard recordings of what the Titanic's whistle would have sounded like? I have seen the actual, the videos where they blew the whistles with air, like an air horn. I've seen those, but I imagine it would sound like just like it did in the James Cameron film. Made a poster board out of Titanic as a kid. That's really cool. Do you have Titanic toys? I have a few things from ocean liners and stuff. Would you like, well, you guys want me to show you a few things that I've got? I can go get a couple of things and put them on stream. Let's see. Okay, give me just a second. I'll be right back. This is one of my favorites. This was given to me by my family for Christmas about 10 years ago. A photo of the Titanic leaving, and it's actually autographed by the last living survivor, Melina Dean. She signed this. This is one of my favorite items from the Titanic. And I've got a few other things. I've got some stuff from the Queen Mary. I've got some models. Of course, I've got coal. Only one question about the Britannic, how those funnels flatten at the bottom of the Kia C. The Britannic, you see, I made a video about that, talking about the funnels and how fragile they were. And honestly, the funnels just really were not that strong. You know, they were only meant to handle smoke and stuff. So it's either they collapsed after the fall or they just eroded over time. I look like Tom Linsky. I've heard that. I have nothing to do with Titanic Honor and Glory. I really, really admire them, and I really respect their work, and I try to give them shout outs all the time. So if everybody here knows about them, please go check them out. They're amazing. But yeah, I'm not related to them. But my models that you see me use in my videos all the time, they're from Titanic Honor and Glory store. Do you play video games? Yes, I do. I do like video games. I have an Xbox. I think I have a Sega CD upstairs. Yeah, but they are, I mean, it's moving slowly, but think about the scale of the project they're doing. Their Britannic game was amazing, you know. Aquitania's whistle on YouTube. Canard 4-stacker at the same time. Canard, I haven't seen the Canard's whistles or anything like that. I don't know about those too much. Yeah. They want to make, the Titanic Honor and Glory guys, they want to make their game be the same quality as a AAA game like Call of Duty or something like that. You know, they want them to be premium, and honestly, I respect them for it. So, hey, all the time it takes them to deliver the best game that they can, I really go, hey, take all the time you need. Yes, I was really into vintage video game collecting a long time ago, but yeah, I still have a couple of things from it. I'm from West Virginia. Can you hear my accent? On the Aquitania, that's interesting. Yeah, I think I might do a video on that. Could you do the Titanic is so cool. I agree, the Titanic is very cool. Thank you, Galaxy. I've seen your growth on YouTube. Thank you, I appreciate it. Let's see. Anybody else have any questions or anything? What time is it here at your place? Oh, it is 7 o'clock in the evening here. I'm on the East Coast of the United States. I'm British, so I can't tell you. Are you in the UK? I've been to the. What are your thoughts on building? What are your thoughts on building a new Titanic replica? What do you mean by building a new Titanic replica? I can show you. Oh, one other thing I'd like to show you guys. This was a gift from my brother. He gave this to me for Christmas. A really cool, detailed model of the Titanic. He actually found this in an antique store, and this model was built in the. This model kit came out in the late 60s, early 70s. On the box, it says it's been 60 years since the Titanic sank. So that tells you how long and how old this is. I believe this is 1/350 scale. And he told me he had a time, my brother built this for me, and he told me he had a time getting these strings on because, you know, it's so old that he said like they were like crumbling. But he built this and painted it, and this model is 30, 40 years old at least. Well, 60 years old, I'd say. But he did a really good job on it. It's 2 a.m. here in Europe. Where are you in Europe? I've been to Paris before. I visited Paris a few years ago, pre-COVID, of course. I've seen a vid where they were trying to say the Mount Temple was the mystery ship. I don't believe that. I honestly think that the Californian was the mystery ship, because if you take a look at testimony from the Californian's officers, they said that they see a ship that is listing. They see a ship that is leaning. They see it shooting off rockets. And as far as the whole debate over the Titanic's coordinates, you know that they gave out the wrong the coordinates at first. So, I mean, it's like they didn't really know where the Titanic was. I know they say they were 20, 30 miles away, but, you know, based on what the officers saw, I honestly believe it was the Californian. Do you like... Oh boy, I could go on and on about the Californian is not the mystery ship. Well, you know what we should do? We should have a podcast debate, Pooley. I think that would be a really, really fun thing to talk about. Wow, there's 27 of you guys in here. That's crazy. When did I become interested in the Titanic? When I was a kid. I remember that I went to my grandparents' house. They cooked us dinner, so my family took me over there. I was probably 6 or 7, and the James Cameron Titanic movie had just came out. I was born in 91, so. And I asked them, what movie is this? They told me Titanic and explained it to me, and I'm like, wow. And it just fascinated me from there on out. I've never been to Ireland. What's your opinion on recovering Titanic artifacts? Do you think more should? You know, if you would have asked me a few years ago about that, the whole topic of recovering artifacts from the Titanic, if you would have asked me a few years ago, I probably would have said they should have left it alone. And I liked what they did, how the artifacts were they only recovered at least they should. They only recover artifacts that were thrown from the ship. They didn't actually recover things that were inside the ship. But now there's that whole debate over them trying to recover the Titanic's radio, and they're saying they shouldn't do it. They shouldn't go in. The Titanic is in a rapid state of decay. And there was this article, I think, where they said they have to cut a hole in the ship to get to it. The roof is falling apart. The Marconi is right there behind the bridge. And it wouldn't be that hard to get the radio if it was still there, which I don't know if it is. But we're losing the Titanic very quickly. And if we don't recover some things, then we'll lose that history. So I'm kind of torn on it. If I lived back then, would you go on the Olympic? If I had the choice, probably the Olympic. Because you have to remember the Titanic wasn't famous until after the sinking. It's kind of like comparing, what's a good modern day example? Oh yeah, Oasis of the Seas, the Royal Caribbean ship, and Allure of the Seas. They're sister ships, they're very identical. But Oasis was the first ship of the class. So Titanic wasn't famous until later. What is the pros and cons of Britannic? I think that Britannic game was great for what it is. It's like a museum. I've played through it several times. I really, really love it. Hello and welcome. Everyone did not die on the Titanic. There were 704 survivors, I think. Don't quote me on that. It was right around there. She listed to starboard and port, but she was more or less on even keel. Yeah, she was until towards the end, after when Scotland Road flooded and the D-deck gangway door. 707, 712. Okay. Have I played Titanic Adventures Out of? Yes, I did. The Titanic Adventures Out of Time game that came out when I was a kid, and it was it was hard for me being so young to play through that. Got to do a video on the misconceptions and theories. I actually plan to do that. Whenever I get good ideas or something to talk about with Titanic, I make a note of it in my computer. I've got a big list of video topics. Why don't people come out with after the Titanic going half? I don't really understand, Phil. What are you trying to say? I always love ocean liners from the 4th grade teacher, Ireland. I'm telling. Oh, that's really cool. So you had a family. You had somebody sailing the Queen Mary. So did I. I had a really, really good friend of mine who taught me the violin. He sailed on the Queen Mary. I went to visit the ship last year. Oh yeah, I love Titanic from when I was little. I don't know if y'all know this, but they used to have a submersible Titanic model, like a toy Titanic that would actually sink. And they're really expensive now. Look them up on eBay. But I had one when I was a kid, and I cannot find it. I went to my parents' house looking for it, and I could not find it. They don't know where it is either. Have you seen Titanic Animation's real-time video? Yes, I have, and I've watched a few of his live streams. They're really good. Wow, we've got 54 people in here. That's crazy. Hi, everybody. Greetings from West Virginia. That the Titanic went. Are you talking about how they Phil, are you talking about how they turned on the engines again briefly after the Titanic hit the iceberg? Oh, hey, Isaac, I see you. If Titanic 2 was built, would I go on it? Probably. I have mixed feelings about them building another Titanic. I might check it out, but I don't know. Hello from India, or Indiana? Indiana. Visited West Virginia twice last year. Let me know if you need help understanding steam engines and boilers, operate boilers and steam engines. Hi, Rails and Rust. I think you've commented on a few of my videos, haven't you? I try to read all your all's comments, so thank you guys. Man, this is fun. I agree. Yes, why would they do that? Well, what you have to kind of remember about right after the iceberg impact, they didn't know how severe it was. And I'm going to make a video talking about this. They probably just did that. I know it's a little bit of a niche topic, and I really don't know why they turned the engines on. But I think it had a little bit to do with they didn't know how serious it was at the time. And the ship only ran for 5 to 10 minutes, I think, after the collision. So I don't think it added that much to the rate of flooding. That's a theory, of course, but it didn't run for that long. And that's a good question as to what they were thinking. I don't know what they were thinking, but what would you like me to... What are my thoughts on Britannic? What would you like to know about the Britannic? My mom calls me a Titanic nerd because I always watch it. My mother did the same when I was young. Thanks for answering. You're welcome. The engines were half ahead, most likely to make passenger stay calm. I don't know about that. I mean, most passengers didn't even feel the iceberg impact. You got to think that, back then it wasn't like now where people stay up so late. It was just a small little bump to most people. Was his name Lawrence Beasley? Passenger Lawrence Beasley. He gave us a lot of information. He noticed. If the Titanic sunk stern first, I think it would be even worse because the power would have failed almost immediately. The Titanic couldn't call for help. And depending on how it sank, if it capsized, if the Titanic sunk stern first, it'd be horrible. The Oceanus. Are you talking about that boat that sunk in the 90s where the captain left all the passengers on board? That's actually a good question. Probably because the Britannic is in such a major state of decay. Titanic history. Yeah, I know a little bit about it. I'm not an expert in it or anything, but I know that captain, like, he abandoned his crew, or he abandoned the passengers, and the captain of the Oceanus reminded me of the captain of the Costa Concordia. You know how he abandoned ship and ditched it right away. What's your favorite video game except where Titanic? Well, there aren't a lot of Titanic games. Depends on what I'm in the mood for. I think my favorite video game is probably Metal Gear Solid 4: Guns of the Patriots. I love that game. I still have a PlayStation 3 hooked up just because I play it every now and again. Every time I hear about the ocean. Okay, guys, the questions are coming in really fast. How longer would she have stayed afloat with the D-Deck gangway door shut? I don't think she would have. She would have lasted longer, but how long is debatable. The Britannic was really cool. How they came up with all those designs, that was really, really cool. Hey, I haven't gotten my... James, what was your question? I missed it. I am not a game designer. I do not make video games, so I have not messed with Unreal Engine. I've got a lot of topics planned, actually. I'm not going to talk about those right now. You guys will just have to wait for the videos. If you like video games, are you interested in one really related to Titanic? You should try none. Oh, I don't know about that one. One really, really cool sinking simulator that I found was for Gary's Mod. Somebody made a sinking simulator on a ship called the Valiant. It's got interiors and stuff like that. Hey, Phil, I am actually planning that. I was working on that earlier today, actually. Have you ever looked up... Okay, guys, have you ever looked up the design of the bulkheads, differences, and why? Well, the Lusitania had a massive detonation. The Lusitania and the Titanic were completely different in how they sunk. I don't know if you fall into the category of wondering if the Lusitania had weapons on board, but I believe it did. The Titanic 2 Blue Star Line thing, that came out when I was in college, and that was... shoot, that was a long time ago. So I will believe that there's a Titanic 2 when I see it. I'm more pro to say hi to the one that's actually being built in China. There's a building replica they're doing there, and I've seen more progress on that than Blue Star Line. Yeah, that's actually common. The Olympic photos are more... Can you do a review? Like, okay. Yes, I am. I'm going to... Titanic was my main topic because there's a lot of things I can cover with Titanic, but I'm going to do other things. I do have it. Oh, hi, Pen Prop. I see you. Do you have a dog? Do you want me to... I can find her. I do have a dog. Her name's Rosie. I'm begging my mom to go on the Titanic too. You know that the Titanic was actually very small compared to modern day ships. It was a much, much, much smaller ship. Yeah, how many times have you... I don't really watch Titanic the film that much. I usually only do it, like, I watch scenes from it, but like the sinking stuff, I use it for videos and all that. But I don't watch the movie all that much. Like when you say watch it, are you talking about from start to finish? They're building, James. They're building a building, like a museum for the Titanic too. It, I don't think they, even if we had the technology, I don't think they should raise it. The 1/350 scale model that I showed earlier, that was actually my brother. My brother built that for me and gave it to me as a Christmas present. I've done several jobs, and no, I don't work with history. My last job, I was actually working on a copper mine in Arizona. I was a quality control tech on a mine. UWU. Wow, 72 people. Hi guys, hope you all are doing well. Thank you all for coming in here. This is just a test stream. Do you plan on getting the Trumpeter Titanic? I would like to get the Trumpeter Titanic. I don't really have the space for it. Well, I know they turned on the Californian. I know that they turned off their radio because it was close to the evening, but that was the end of his shift on the Californian. So when he shut off the radio, you got to think the Titanic's radio operator was tired, overworked, and he got a really, really loud ring in his ear. So that's why he told the Californian's radio operator to stop talking. It wasn't the Titanic being rude or thinking they had some kind of a religious faith in how safe the ship was. It was just they were backlogged, they were tired, and the guy got annoyed because there was a loud ring in his ears. Thank you, gaming. No, I would not do that. The sinking, how accurate was the sinking? The sinking in the movie was very accurate for what we knew about the sinking in the 90s. In today's standards, it's not completely accurate. There's a lot of things in the movie that are accurate, but the sinking in general, there's a lot of problems as well. But it's great for what it is. What's the Trump? It's a model. It's a 1/200 scale model that Titanic Honor and Glory did. I have not seen the Britannic movie. Lots of topics. I'm gonna eventually branch off from Titanic and do other topics as well once I've done everything that I can with the Titanic. What other topics are you? Can we see what painting are you talking about? Oh, the one behind me? It's just a lighthouse. Can you do one on the Titanic? Are you talking about the lady who broke her leg on the grand staircase during the ship's voyage? How come ships like Lusitania and more did not? I think that has to do with how the ships actually sank, because you got to remember the Titanic sank on a very even keel, which is not very normal for ships to sink. I think that had a big role in how the ship went down. Holy cow, 140 people are in here. Hi, guys. I plan to start my own Titanic channel. Would you be interested in a few discussions? Sure, just shoot me a message. Yeah, I heard about that, the whole misunderstood order, but that was what teller commands are for. That's just something that people don't really know about it. Goodbye, lots of studios. That's actually an interesting idea, make reviews of Titanic movies, but you've got to be careful doing that. Holy cow, okay, this is coming in so fast, it's hard to read these. So why is anyone talking about the Lusitania Interactive Museum? Or I don't know what you're talking about, Captain Alex. What if the Olympics sank? Then that would have been really sad. If the Olympics sank, that would have been it for the Olympic class. I do not play Roblox. I've seen videos of it, but I do not play it. Yeah, I would. I'm not saying it's impossible that I wouldn't go see the Titanic too, but I don't know. When I hear about stuff like that, it kind of makes me think that they're trying to capitalize on Titanic a little bit, and I don't know. I feel like it's a little bit disrespectful. Are you talking about the Lusitania movie? Are you talking about the Terror at Sea? That I think it was on History Channel. It could be possible to raise the Britannic. I've heard theories about it. I don't think you could raise it up intact, though. I think you'd have to cut it up, which I don't think you should do for preserving the site. Britannic is a much higher candidate to be raised than Titanic, but the science around how to do it is questionable. I mean, it's the biggest ocean liner on the seafloor. Oh, hey, my first. Wow, it's an honor giving you your first. Thank you so much. My first super chat. Thank you very much. Let me see who this is. James Berwin. That was my very first super chat. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. I wasn't expecting that at all. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I don't know what to say, James. Thank you. Gaming him. Hi, gaming. I see you. I really appreciate it, guys. Everybody who's been watching my channels and my video and everything, I really, really appreciate it. Who built the Titanic? Harland and Wolff. It makes sense, but I listened to the iceberg with the paint on it. I've heard that, and that would make sense to me. But I listened to the Titanic 108 podcast, and they were talking about that they don't think that was it. So I don't know enough about that picture to say I don't have enough to give an opinion. Britannic was slightly bigger, I believe. See ya. More or less, yes, I am doing this for fun. I was only planning to be live for about 10, 15 minutes, and it's been close to a half hour. So this was just a test super chat. So, but I'm having fun answering the questions, so I'll stay live for a little longer. Greetings from Scotland. Hi. If the iceberg had cut, wait, what? Had cut a gash from the bow stern, how fast? I don't really understand your question. Holy cow, another super chat. Thanks. Rail fan, did you write it? No message, but Rail fan, thank you very much. You didn't have to do that, man. Y'all don't have to send me super chats, but I appreciate it. Titanic Bridge, what happened? I'm actually working on a video on that. What happened to the Titanic's bridge will be in one of my videos, so no spoilers, but I will be talking about that. What would happen if the Titanic didn't sink? We probably wouldn't know. We probably wouldn't even know about it. Thank you, Anna. What if the Titanic's stern didn't sink? That would have been really good if it hadn't. If the Titanic's stern hadn't sank, it would that would have been a lifeboat, but I know it would have eventually. The coal fire had nothing to do with the Titanic. It had nothing to do with the coal fire actually saved lives. If the coal fire hadn't happened, then the Titanic would have capsized about an hour after the sinking, after the iceberg impact, in my opinion. Do you have plans for future live streams? I'm thinking about it. Considering how long I've been live on this one, I think I am going to do more live streams. The Empress of Ireland. That's actually a really, really good idea. Rails and Rust. I will give you a shout out. Okay, I'm going to make a note of that right now, actually. You should make a video. A video of what, Anne? What do you mean a Titanic 2? How come the West Line didn't make Titanic 2 just like Olympic and Britannic in the earlier year? Are you talking about how the other ships that they came out with at the time? Holy cow, another one. My new hobby is telling, okay, we got a super chat from Edwin Deere. My new hobby is telling normal people that the Titanic had 2 clones, then show them photographs of Titanic. Oh, that's cool. That's really cool, man. With the stern, can the Olympic be rebuilt? Theoretically. 109 people. Wow. I watched the same movie. Have you heard of the Titanic swimming pool does have water in it? Can you believe that? I actually thought about doing a video on the Turkish bath, since that's probably one of the most preserved rooms on the ship. Will you write a book about the Britannics? I'm not an author. I really enjoy your content. Thank you. You crazy nation, you do not have to send me any money. If y'all do, I appreciate it, but y'all do not have to do it. I'm just on here to have fun and say hi to everybody. I thought it'd be cool I enjoyed talking to you guys during my videos premieres, so I just thought I'd hop in and say hello. Yeah, the whole rich people surviving thing, that just had to do with the locations, really. Yeah, I think it was more information control. I'll talk more. I'm actually going to make a video about how the third class were trapped below decks, but they weren't really trapped, but there were caged up areas. But I'll go into detail about that later. But it wasn't like the third class passengers were just chained in below decks. That's not how it was. But they did have caged off areas. But if they did have that one stairway right at the front of the ship that they could climb up. What's this? Another super chat? Random question. Do you think the iceberg that hit that? Absolutely not. It melted a long time ago. Although the iceberg it came from is probably still around. Do you think the Empress of Ireland incident, it's the Olympic collision? Wait, what? What was that? Rails and Russ, can you repeat your question? I'm a little confused. If you think the Empress of Ireland incident, it's the Olympic collision or injury to. Oh, I get it. I get it. Yeah, the Empress of Ireland was really, really bad. I get what you're saying now. The Carpathia sunk. Jack and Rose were not real. I think you might have commented on that about the Stockholm. I did not know that it was still around. I have not been to Northern Ireland, but pictures I've seen of it, it looks absolutely beautiful. As soon as the current global crisis stops, I plan to get traveling again. The next place that's on my list to visit, I really, really want to go visit Tokyo. I think the Britannic was a really, really cool ocean liner. Very pretty. My favorite room on the Titanic would probably have to be the Grand Staircase. I am going to talk about the Atlantic. I briefly mentioned it in another one of my videos about the life jacket or the lifeboats. Okay, that sounds like a good idea. Other ships the night the Titanic sank. I am 29 years old. If I had the opportunity to go see the Britannic, yes. If I had the opportunity to go see Titanic, I would do that as well. Which ship are you talking about, Anna? Oh, I'm 29, actually. I know I have a young face. I want to go everywhere. I've been around. I've been to most places in the United States, and I've been to Mexico. I've been to Canada. I've been to London, and I've been to Paris, and I visited China a year and a half, 2 years ago. So I've been around. The William Gustloff was the worst boat disaster. I think that was the worst loss of life when the William Gustloff went down. The Titanic wasn't the worst disaster. I think it has one of the most interesting stories because of how long it took to sink. Yes, Titanic is real. I think it would look, if the Titanic went to war, it would look like the Olympic did. I like Star Wars, but I prefer Star Trek. Let the war begin. Yes, I am Backyard Garage. I do plan to do a video on recovered artifacts. Oh, and by the way, thank you very much for that iceberg idea. That was everybody. Backyard Garage was the guy who commented and told me about the idea for the iceberg impact. So Backyard Garage, I give you an applause. Star Trek is awesome. Titanic historian, what is your favorite Star Trek? Mine is Deep Space Nine. I'm probably gonna wrap up the stream in the next 10 minutes. I'm gonna call it there. I've been live for 35 minutes. Wow. I do plan to do another giveaway at some point. I don't know when I'm going to do it yet, but I am going to do something. I want to do something a little bit more elaborate next time. Hi, Patrick. Welcome to the stream. If Jack and Rose were real, they'd have a romance. I don't know. I have not read the Titan book, but I have done some reading on it. I've read some cliff notes and stuff like that. I know about the coincidences. I'm not one really big in that whole coincidences between the Titan and the Titanic, but it's pretty eerie when you see all the facts. I'm gonna do something. I think I'll do something for like a live giveaway or something like that. Do some research on the elevators. I believe they were called elevators. I don't think they were called lifts. Why is Titanic so famous? Because of the story around it. That's why it's so famous. If Mr. Beast joined. If Mr. Beast joined, that's funny. Third class passengers, a lot of them were stuck below for a good chunk of the sinking, but most of them probably ended up on the stern. Titanic at 2 a.m. I briefly talk about the wireless room, how they couldn't send a distress call. I briefly talk about that. That's funny, Phil. The Strauss story is sad. Sherry Miller, that is a sad story. I'm very curious to know what happened to them. I know that they recovered Isidore's body, but that is an interesting topic. What is the best Titanic game? I don't think there really is the only one that I can think of is the Adventure Out of Time. But actually, if you have a PS4 or PS5, Dreams has some really, really good Titanic things on it. It's like a creative tool. If an underground earthquake happened, the Titanic would probably collapse. 95 guys are in here. 95 people. That's insane. Hi, everybody. I have not seen a picture of the Carpathia wreck. That is an interesting idea if we could raise the Carpathia. You got to think, though, about how hard of a task that would be to raise a shipwreck. That would be very, very complicated. What would you have been the best plan of action if you were on the Titanic sinking as a male? Either hang out where Murdoch was. Don't go over to where Lightoller was, that's for sure. I think the best thing you could do would be to build a raft. Like out of deck chairs or doors, but the other problem with that is people didn't know the Titanic was sinking for so long. What do you mean, Sammy, with trains? Like they jump overboard after the ship split in two? I don't understand the question. If the RMS Queen Mary sank, I guess it would depend on when it sank. That'd be a better part of the question. If it sunk during the Second World War, that'd be really, really bad. What do you think about the theory that took place, the Titanic? Wait, what was that? Bye, Isaac. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to wrap up the live stream in probably about 5 minutes, guys. Will you do a video on the SS Normandy? Possibly. I have a question. How did the Titanic sink? It struck an iceberg. That's the short version. I know. I still can't get over the channel growth. It's absolutely insane. Yeah. Do you think they would have won? Yes, Backyard Garage. I am interested in myths and legends to some extent. No, no submarines have ever got stuck at the Titanic. They have actually hit the ship, but they haven't gotten stuck there. Because of the mirage effect. That's why the California ignored the Titanic's rockets and lights. Well, that was a factor, and the fact that the radio was turned off. I don't think the engines added a lot to the sinking, Brandon. I really don't. They only had the engines on for 5 to 10 minutes, so while it did contribute some, I don't think it was that big of a deal. It would have sunk in 2 seconds, Fire. If the 16 compartments breach, it would drop like a rock. And how would you deal with that much water pressure? Lots of studio. It probably would have broken a lot worse, Crazy Nation, if it would have landed vertical bow. Gosh, that would have been bad. I actually did read a theory that when the Titanic first sank, they had an idea to drop bombs on it and detonate the ship in order to try to recover some people who were inside the ship when it sank. Like they thought they could drop bombs underwater. This was in like 1915, I think. I have seen those historical kits. Those were really, really cool. I watched Tom Linsky's videos on them. I might get those later. I've been on several ships. I did a Carnival cruise a few years back. I've done a couple of Disney cruises. The Titanic's remains, I believe that was Todd Ballard, I think. Or Ballard. I think that's his last name. I forget the first. I know, Backyard Garage. It is insane. I think they could have saved her if the Britannic had gotten breached, if they had beached it. What do you mean, make of studio stuff? Wait. Maker of stuff? Talking about actually doing talking about the different sinking theories? Is that what you're saying? Are you from Texas? I am not. Bob Ballard. Okay. Yeah, that would be a good video about how he found the ship. That is a very, very good. That is a good idea. The Final Word. Yes, that is a very, very good documentary. I very much approve of it. I have played the Britannic game. I really, really like it. What if the Titanic was found in the 1920s? I don't know how they would do that. If the Titanic didn't split, it would have eventually foundered anyway. It would have just kind of, I think it might have lasted a couple of minutes longer, but not by much. I think it was a little bit of both. As far as the Bismarck goes, I think that the British definitely damaged her beyond repair, but the way she sank, I think the Germans scuttled it. That's just a theory. Oh, the blue. Oh, that's an interesting idea. The blue ribbon. 88 people. That's crazy, guys. Thanks. The Museum of Transport. That's interesting. Where is that located? And sorry, guys, I'm trying to answer as many questions as I can here. I did not know that Bob Ballard discovered the Bismarck. I did not know that. The switch theories. Are you talking about that the Titanic and the Olympic were switched? Is that what you're talking about? That stupid conspiracy? She continued on after the iceberg impact for about 5 to 10 minutes after the iceberg impact. The Bismarck is it was the Nazi flagship during the Second World War. This is the cool guy club. I like it. Oh gosh. Hello. Famous not yeah, the famous Nazi. That's what the Bismarck was. It was a famous Nazi warship. It sunk it was a pretty big threat during the Second World War. If I was on the Britannic, I probably would have been a soldier in the First World War. The stern. They said that the stern was actually ripped off during the sinking of the Bismarck due to the hydrodynamic forces. Congrats, you found my channel. I like it. What if the Bismarck never sunk? It would have sunk a lot more British ships and possibly American ships. That would have been bad. I bought my Titanic models from Titanic Honor and Glory's website. Check out my Christmas gifts video. There's links to how to get to that. I am not familiar with Soviet shipwrecks. Thank you, Sherry. I think they still have some of the red paint on the bottom of the ship, but I think most of the paint on top is gone. Bismarck had never sunk the HMS Hood. I think the Bismarck would have been sunk eventually, but I think the Hood was what got everybody after it. When I was a kid, 97, whatever year the James Cameron movie came out, that's when my interest started. But I was really, really young then. That is actually a good idea. Like, let's see, do a video on the wait, who did that? Backyard Garage, man, you're full of good ideas. Do a video on the Hunley. I really like that. You're full of great ideas, man. I am not going to sing on here. I see you. Here, Florida is really cold right now. I have a lot of interest. I'm really interested in the space program, science stuff, medical stuff. A lot of stuff catches my eye from time to time. My interests tend to vary. I've done a lot of reading on Pompeii was a big interest of mine as of late. I do not sing. I do really like Marvel. I have not seen all the movies, but I did not watch superhero movies. I just didn't care for them. And then I watched Guardians of the Galaxy and thought it was amazing. And then I came home and somebody was watching Infinity War, and I walked in right after Thanos had snapped his fingers, and I saw Groot disappear, and I freaked out, like, what happened to Groot? So then I started binge watching Marvel to find out the whole story. Titanic is like Skyrim Lusitania. That's actually a pretty good analogy. I don't know that much about the Mount Temple. I'd have to look into that. I do not have an Instagram. All right, guys, I think I'm about ready to wrap up the stream here. I'll take a couple of last minute questions, but I think I'm going to close out the stream here in about a minute. And everybody on here, I really, really appreciate it. Thank you all for being here. Anybody else have any quick questions before I head out? Your favorite documentary on shipwrecks? There's a lot of good ones, but some of the later Titanic ones are really good, especially The Final Word with James Cameron is really good, 20 Years Later. There's a lot of really, really good Titanic documentaries, but you have to watch those as well. Will you make it? I might. We'll see how it all goes. When will the next stream be? I'm not sure. This was just kind of a random thing. I only was going to do this for about 10, 15 minutes, and I've been on here almost an hour. So this was a quick thing that turned into a much bigger thing. So everybody on here, I really, really appreciate it. What will the Titanic look like in 2050? I think the Titanic will be mostly gone by 2050. Look it up, Queen Mary. You covered the breakup theories. Do you think you could include? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what that means. The SS American Star. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, that could be an interesting video. I guess. All right, everybody. I'm going to call it here. Everybody here on the stream, thank you all so much for tuning in. I really, really appreciate it. And all my new subscribers out there, thank you guys. This was a really, really good test stream. I really like it. I am going to do more streams in the future, so we'll go from there. And everybody who gave me super chats, you all did not have to do that, but I really, really appreciate it. So everybody out there, thank you. Keep leaving me comments. I really, really appreciate it. All right, everybody. Y'all have a good evening. I'll see you around.